Today our goal is pretty large, no promises, but what we're going to shoot for is La Madre Mountain, El Padre Mountain, which is behind La Madre, Burnt Peak, which is that pointy peak there, and El Bastardo. These are four mountains around 8,000 feet, 8,000 to 8,500 in the La Madre Mountains wilderness. And to get there, this is going to be a real hybrid adventure between myself on foot and this mountain bike, which I refer to as the Silver Bullet, and it's on the back of the beast here. I have the only, well, the distinction here of having the only bike that's almost as large as the car that is carrying it. So anyway, why the bike and the car? Because there's quite a long series of unpaved roads between here and the approach to La Madre Mountain. And so we're going to take the Silver Bullet along these unpaved roads and get as close to La Madre Mountain as the bike will take us. Then we'll jettison the bike and continue on foot the rest of the way. So this is truly an amazing adventure that we're going to participate in. As I said, no promises, but what a day. Here we go. Okay, we are ready to take off. Just a quick look at the system we've got here. You'll see a mountain bike and these two poles that are attached to the bike by a bungee cord. These are the hiking poles, trekking poles that I will take when I leave the bike and start up the mountain. And got a tire repair kit back here, a few extra bungee cords, got my shock absorption system here on my hands, and then an extra system here. You see the seat and this pretty substantial spring there. I'll be on unpaved roads, so there's going to be a lot of jarring happening. And then on my back I have a backpack with about 5 liters of water. It's supposed to be up to 77 degrees in the valley today, and so I expect that it's going to be fairly warm even up in the mountains. And I've got 2 extra pairs of footwear. I may have overdone it today, but 2 extra pairs of footwear. One with spikes for snow if we hit some snow or pretty steep avalanche slopes, and another that's rock climbing shoes if we need to head over rocks. So we're ready for all kinds of terrain today, from unpaved roads to rock climbing to avalanche slopes to snow. And well, nothing left but to begin. Here we go. Wow, that first stretch was pretty challenging, and the reason is I haven't been on a bike for about 8 months now. The reason I first started going with the mountain bike was that I had a case of plantar fasciitis about a year ago that lasted nearly 6 months, and so I had to do something else besides running to keep in shape. So I decided, well, I'll ride a mountain bike. And I began, as I usually do, going further and further up and in on the mountain bike till I discovered that, hey, all those unpaved roads that the beast, my smart car, can't handle, can be handled by a mountain bike. So what if I then figure out how to do a hybrid adventure, which means that I take the bike at the beginning of an adventure on the baseline unpaved roads to the edge of whatever mountain approach I need to get to, and then I convert to being on foot, combination of running and walking and crawling, however I can get up the mountain. And so I began to have this vision for a hybrid adventure that would involve mountain biking, the approach roads, and then hiking and running and walking and crawling up the mountains. And so this will be the first, the plantar fasciitis is gone, for one thing. Found ways to heal it. But what we have now is an awesome vision for hybrid adventures that'll get us just about anywhere. Now let's take a look at where we are now. You can see the Harris Peak area, or Harris Mountain, and then over to Charleston Peak. We were up there last week in the snow. And here is Fletcher Peak, right in the center there. And then to the right of Fletcher Peak is Mummy Mountain. We are on Harris Road in Nevada, in the La Madre Mountains Wilderness, which butts against the Mount Charleston Wilderness. And by the way, continuing on, there's Angel Peak. We are in the zone with Joshua trees, which tells me we're around 5,000, maybe a little above 5,000 feet. That's how I tell altitude, is by the type of plants that we have around us. Okay, and then looking around, here is Gas Peak. Lots of adventures for all of these mountains I've just mentioned on LasVegasAreaTrails.com. And Harris Springs Road again. So let's head on up. You can see the tip of La Madre Mountain right between those hills in the foreground. And then over here is El Bastardo. So we definitely have a ways to go, but even though I'm not used to this mountain bike, it does provide a different kind of exertion and different muscles, which is going to help me when I get to the part where I'm on foot, because I'll be fresher than I've ever been on this route before. We'll see if that helps me go further. Okay, onward. We're on the road that just broke off from Harris Springs Road. It's a little unpaved road. And I think around here I'm going to jettison the mountain bike, pick it up on the way back. You can see La Madre Mountain up there, which is our first peak. And to the right of La Madre Mountain would be El Padre Mountain. And then that pointy hill is Burnt Peak. And then next to Burnt Peak is El Bastardo. So those are our goals. We don't know how far we're going to get, but we're going to just see how close we can get to doing all of those mountains. And here's the 360-degree view. As you can see, we're in the midst of a beautiful Joshua tree forest. You don't think of this as a forest because there aren't enough trees to make what we normally see as a forest. However, if you're going to have a forest out here at this altitude, this is about as close as you're going to get to a forest. So here we are, our goal, the mountains I just mentioned, and about where we are here. Okay, onward up to the 4 peaks. I thought I'd document this area where the plant life dramatically changes. Looking ahead here, we've got junipers and pines. There's a good example of a pine up ahead. And so you can see a dramatic change. If I turn around, we've got Joshua trees. So I love these sudden changes in the mountains. Every plant knows exactly what altitude is its area where it dominates. And so junipers and pines, and we might call it a pygmy forest up ahead. And then, looking over here, we've got opening up before us, Harris Mountain. Then over to Charleston Peak. And then Fletcher Peak and Mummy Mountain. And then looking over this way, here is Angel Peak. And that's actually, you'd think it was an observatory. It's, I believe, an Air Force radar station. And then here's the road we've been coming up. And as you can see, I think it was smart to leave the bike below, because going up this incline with this kind of surface, I think it would take more effort and energy than walking or running. And we've got all the way up to La Madre Mountain. So I believe I left my altimeter on my bike, but I can, gauging by the plant life and what I've seen before of altitudes, I'd say we are above 6,000 feet, getting close to 6,500 feet. There you can see the tip of Burnt Peak, El Bastardo, and La Madre Mountain. Those are the 3 peaks we're shooting for today. Okay, onward up this definitely 4-wheel drive or 2-foot walk road. Here we go. I thought this was a pine from the distance. It's actually a juniper. So we are in juniper territory, which precedes pine territory. And I think there are some pines up ahead, but I dare not guess, because as I get close, they're often junipers. Although it looks like this straight ahead is a juniper with a pine topping it. So maybe we're at the point where the pines begin. We don't know, but we'll find out very soon. We are definitely in pines and junipers, and if you can handle this rough four-wheel drive road, either on foot or in a vehicle with all your gear, there are some really cool camping spots here. Imagine being here under the stars some night. There's this place, this stretch up here. It's just before the La Madre Mountains marker sign. And anyway, lots of camping spaces up here. So it's great spot to camp and then tackle La Madre, El Padre, Burnt Peak, and El Bastardo. And there's a shot right in the center of Burnt Peak, and La Madre will emerge soon. Okay, we are now officially entering the La Madre Mountains Wilderness area. You can see the sign immediately in front of us, and evidently there's a trail to La Madre Mountain. I've never found it yet, but it's a 2.6 mile trail, and well, we'll just search around and see what we can find. The La Madre Mountain itself is right up here, and you can see what looks like a snowfield in front of La Madre Mountain is actually an amazing basalt slide that is referred to as Devil's Slide. Okay, and we'll be on top of that looking down it. And here's the little more close-up of the La Madre Mountains Wilderness sign. Okay, and onward and upward. Okay, continuing on up this wonderful little road, we break into the open, and we can now see all of the mountains that are our destination. There's La Madre Mountain, and moving over this way, El Padre Mountain, and between the two there's what you call the Notch, which takes you down into Calico Basin next to Red Rock Canyon. And then here is Burnt Peak, and over here is El Bastardo. So we'll see about summiting these four. That would be quite the victory. And then looking in this direction, we're looking toward Harris Peak, or Harris Mountain, and Griffith Peak is out in this direction too. And I'm not totally sure which is which. Yeah, I'm just not sure, but there they are. For those of you who know the mountains better than I. And then over this direction, well, actually, I think I was wrong. I think, yeah, that's right. Okay, here we go. Correction, Griffith Peak, the pointy mountain up there, and Harris Mountain. See a few trees on top of it, right in the center. And then you can see the very tip of Mount Charleston, Charleston Peak in the snow. And then going around, here's Lee Peak in the center. And then moving over to Fletcher Peak and Mummy Mountain behind. And then over this direction is a great shot of Angel Peak. So there you have it. I'll pan out now and give a larger view here. And then, oh, by the way, one of these mountains, and it could be way over in this direction, is going to be, yeah, maybe you can't see it from here, but there is Bonanza Peak somewhere off in that direction. Okay, so let's pan out and look at Angel Peak, Mummy Mountain, Fletcher Peak, Charleston Peak, Griffith Peak, Harris Mountain. And the difference between a mountain and a peak is, oh, just a minute. And this thing that I thought was Griffith Peak, no, it's not. Something else, and I don't know what it is. How's that for a guide? Anyway, the difference between a peak and a mountain is that a peak has, a mountain has a certain amount of clearance around it. I don't know what it is. It's like 500 feet, 700 feet, 1,000 feet. I don't know. It's a mountain if it's got that much clearance around it. It's a peak if the high points around it are less than that amount. And you can easily find out what that is. I could find out when I go to Google, I'm sure. But anyway, let's continue on up this road. We'll just finish this 360-degree view so you can see basically where we are. And there you have it. Beautiful area. And by the way, if you like solitude, looks like this is the place to be. I have not seen a person all the time I've been on this route. And I doubt I'll see anyone the whole route in these mountains. Okay, onward. Fork in the road. And there's the left fork and the right fork. I take the right fork. It takes me to a turnaround at a high point, and it may cause me to miss the Mike Alcorn trail and end up on the Dave Smith route, but that's the one that I am used to, and so I'm going to go ahead and take it because I know it works. So here we go. Road marked by a cairn, but you can never count on cairns being there. They're easily removed. They fall over. Car runs into them, whatever. So it's just the second fork. And once again, there's a left and there's a right. I'm going to take the right and continue on up. Well, I believe I'm at the very end of this road. And sure enough, here's a turnaround. And if there is a trail, at least from this direction, it's going to be into the brush here to start out. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to locate this route. I doubt this is any official trail, but it's the route that I take. And here we are weaving through the trees. Let's see. Ah, wait a minute. Look over here. Yes. This does look like an actual trail. Okay? So, we continue on this little trail. And you saw my roundabout way of how to get to this trail. Maybe this is the Alcorn Trail. We do not know. Anyway, the route I may take, unless I find a really clear trail that looks very promising, is I'm going to head up this ridge in the foreground, just across this little canyon, and then just ride the ridge up to this point. Then you see a little saddle. I'll take that saddle and continue on up to La Madre Mountain. And from there, head over to El Padre Mountain and Burnt Peak. And here you can see them a little more closely. That was Burnt Peak. This is El Padre. And this is La Madre. You see that there's some ascent and descent once you hit the top of La Madre as you head for the other peaks. But the first thing we're doing is heading down this trail, getting up to the top of that ridge, which we have done before. And like I said, unless I can find another really distinctive trail that would lead probably up the canyon and around the base. I like my ridge route because there's a much better view on the ridge route. So we may just stick with the ridge route. It'll probably be, if the Alcorn Trail is 2.6 miles, the Dave Smith Trail is going to be more in the area of 3.5 up to La Madre Mountain Summit. And then, of course, we've got another 4 miles from La Madre to El Bastardo and then back down. So we'll just see how everything goes. Here we go. Okay, I find myself in a fairly well-traveled wash. I've done this before and it gave out in a lot of brush. If that happens, I just head up this ridge to my left and take my familiar route. But I want to check this out just to see if it might have been cleared a little bit and be an alternative route up to La Madre Mountain. You can see the La Madre Mountain page on Las Vegas Area Trails for the ridge route that I took from about this point onward, and we may be taking that again today. But on the other hand, if this route that looks like it could be a trail actually is one, then I'll take this route. Although I do like my ridge route. The ground is firmer, the view is better. Okay, onward. It's getting a little messy down here. Ridge I'm used to goes up in that direction. But what do we have here? Another cairn, couple cairns, which seem to indicate that this is some kind of a route. So I'm going to keep checking this out. Let's just, yeah, here's one of the cairns. There's another one. We just passed it. And so I'm going to keep weaving around in this canyon for a little while. Give it a little more chance to turn into something of note. So here we go, continuing on up. As you weave around this wash, there are more cairns marking every spot that looks a little questionable and keeping you in the wash. I'm looking for the cairn that leads us out of the wash and up a ridge, and I think that I know which ridge that's going to be. It's going to land us on the a ridge beyond the saddle that we normally take. And we're normally on the ridge above here. Very nice ridge, great view the whole way, as opposed to this wash. But I'm just curious about this route that is marked with cairns, and thinking this may be the Mike Alcorn Trail. Who knows? So we'll continue on this, and just for the heck of it, and see what or where this leads. Here we go. Route continues to wind up this wash. Not much of a view in here. Washes are not my favorite, and yet I think this is the main route. If there is a trail to La Madre Mountain, that's the trail. Now, to give you an idea of the route that I normally take, I just skirt the top of this ridge up here. Takes me up and up, and then there's the saddle, and then on up to La Madre Mountain Summit. One of the benefits of taking this route, the ridge route, and you can see that on the La Madre Mountain North page of Las Vegas Area Trails. One of the benefits of that route is you can be right, well, it's much firmer ground than this gravel. The view is a lot better. It may even be, I don't know, it may even be more direct. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, and when you're up near the summit of La Madre Mountain, you can look straight down Devil's Slide. Pretty impressive view. That's the basalt slide. Looks almost like it was constructed some kind of cement project, like the side of Hoover Dam or something. It is really cool. But anyway, yeah, that's the ridge route. This, though, I'm taking this because I just wanted to try this different route, because I do believe this is the main route. This is that Mike Alcorn Trail, and there are plenty of cairns along the way anytime you get lost a little bit on the route. But the key is, at least to this point, is to just continue in, winding your way up this gravelly wash. And eventually there's going to be a place where we ascend out of the wash. And that's, boy, I would imagine it's going to be up this ridge, because we got to head up toward La Madre Mountain at some point. And this ridge looks like the one that's going to do it, which makes my ridge even that much better because it's more direct. Anyway, yeah. Up the Alcorn Trail, and let's just see where it leads. Turns continue. This wash does wind around a lot, as opposed to the ridge up and to the left. However, this is a very steady incline, so there are some advantages. I still like the ridge better. Okay, so let's take a look at the 360-degree view. Here we are in the wash. And you can look down the wash and see, I'm not sure what section of mountains this is up ahead. I think it might be part of the Wilson Ridge, but I'm just not sure. So I don't even want to try and decide what that is. Anyway, there's the ridge above us, and had we taken that ridge, we would have been in a great view the whole way, but I still want to check out this trail. And definitely well marked with cairns along the way, but essentially up to this point, you just stay in the wash. And every now and then you'll see a cairn that reminds you that, hey, you're on track, on a trail somebody has, whoever the rock builder is, has taken. So let's continue on up. Well, I figured that we'd reach the point where Alcorn took us out of the wash and began to send us up the mountain. And looks like this is the spot. You can see this cairn here. And then there's a cairn up there, which says, okay, we're going to start ascending. Now, I don't know where that ascent goes yet. All I know is that right through those trees is the summit of Devil's Slide, and then over and up is the summit of La Madre Mountain, and then pretty much straight ahead here, see if we can get a better view, would be the notch between La Madre and El Padre Mountain. So let's just go ahead, and I'm going to back trace this. And then, of course, El Padre Mountain through the trees. Okay, so back tracing it. There's the notch. And there's La Madre Mountain Summit. And there's Devil's Slide Summit. And here we are being sent up toward Devil's Slide at this point. So let's just see what this route is like. Looks like there's a few trees to navigate right at the beginning, but we'll be looking for a continuing route up through these hills up ahead. For cairns, Alcorn is taking us up toward those two high points up there, Devil's Slide and La Madre Mountain Summit. So here we go. And then just to give you a 360, there's the ridge that I've taken before. And circling around this way. Now I've got a better idea of what we're looking at behind us. I didn't know what this area was before, and now I can say for certain there is Angel Peak and the Mummy Mountain, Charleston Peak, and Fletcher Peak would be to the left but hidden from view. And you can see, if you look closely on those hills, you can see some roads that are leading upward, and I'm not sure exactly what that road is that we're looking at right here. I know there's a alternative telephone pole road or something like that leads up to Angel Peak as opposed to Deer Creek Road, and I think that may be what we're looking at. Okay, well, here's the 360 and more views definitely opening up. And there's El Padre through the trees here, and then, as we saw before, Devil's Slide and La Madre Mountain, the two high points in the center. Okay, let's continue on up. We're continuing up what I'm going to call Alcorn Wash, because it's not exactly a trail. I could have missed it somewhere, but I don't think so. I didn't see anything leading off in other directions. One thing I will say is that the ridge above, which I'll call Smith Ridge is a lot smoother than the Alcorn Wash. But I'm continuing up the wash, and yeah, you can't get lost in this wash, but you can't get lost on the ridge either. So yeah, prefer the ridge, but curious about the wash. So continuing upward, and this is what looks like the main trail. So here we go. Okay, continuing up this wash. I'll call it the Alcorn Wash, and wow, it's getting steep here. Anyway, the view's opening up behind us, and you can see the whole Charleston wilderness, Mount Charleston wilderness, and here now very distinctly is Griffith Peak, and then there is Harris Mountain, and you can almost see the saddle between them. And here is Charleston Peak. And Fletcher Peak and Mummy Mountain. I'll pan out so you can see more of the wilderness here. There we go. From Griffith Peak, let's go even further. You're looking at the Wilson Ridge now. And I think you can almost see the Sexton Ridge Trail. Yes, there's the Sexton Ridge Trail. There's a page for that on Las Vegas Area Trails that goes from the summit of Griffith Peak down into Lovell Canyon. And let's see, what else can we see? Yeah, there's the Mount Charleston Wilderness, very faintly through the trees here. You might be able to make out Angel Peak. See a little white ball on top. And then you can see Deer Creek Road circling around below Mummy Mountain, and Kyle Canyon Road, and the well, it looks like there's might be Harris Springs Road area parking right down in there. Don't know. That might be a little further up. And what else can we see? You see some roads along in the mountains here, heading up. And I believe that we're looking at the Harris Mountain Road there, heading up to Harris Mountain, or to a trailhead up Harris Mountain. And pages on Las Vegas Area Trails for all of these areas that I've just mentioned. But this is a unique high perspective view of these areas. And then let's see if I can turn. I'm in a kind of precarious spot here. I want to turn to show there's the path down the wash. And wow, it's no longer a wash. It's like a giant's staircase with giant steps made for someone that's taller than me. And this continues on up. You're seeing up here, that ridge there is, I think on the other side of that is actually the Devil's Slide, at least at the top of that ridge. And you can see the ridge going down. I may be wrong on that, and maybe the Devil's Slide is further up. We'll see when we get a little further, but we are continuing on up this Alcorn Wash / trail up toward La Madre Mountain, and we'll find a a way that cuts over. I see a lot of trails here. People who just said, enough, I can't take this wash anymore. And so they headed up to the ridges up above. And you know, I can't blame them. But I'm going to keep braving the wash just to see where it leads and if there's a more direct route up to the summit. Although if we were on those ridges up there, it'd be a lot easier traveling than this wash, I can tell you that. But I want to keep to the wash just to see what it's like. Okay, onward. This fairly brutal wash is starting to level off a bit. You can see the difference between the uphill and the downhill. No more giant steps above, so that's nice. My body needs a little rest from that. But let's take a look around us. Here you see the Mount Charleston Wilderness from Griffith Peak over to Charleston Peak. Now Lee Peak is in view. Mummy Mountain, Fletcher Peak, and there we see it a little larger. But what else do we see here? Guess what? See if I can, whoops. I was going to say, see if I can keep from slipping. You saw how that went. Okay, so yeah, it's all loose rock up here, as you can see. So there's not a lot of great places to step. However, there's also not a lot of ledges to go over. So that was in my favor. Anyway, here is Burnt Peak and El Bastardo. So now we're looking at a little more. Let's see if I can walk around and stay on my feet here. Whoa. Okay. We can do it. Yeah. Okay. And so you can see the inclines going up all around us are actually much more gentle than they were below. And so we continue on up to La Madre Mountain, which, you know, may be right through the trees up there. We'll see when we get closer. So onward. I'll try to stay on my feet. There you're looking at the summit of the Devil's Slide. That high point there. You go up to those rocks and look over the edge and you're going to look straight down Devil's Slide. And here we have the area we just have ascended. It's pretty steep, but it's doable. And then there's the Mount Charleston Wilderness. And there's Burnt Peak and El Bastardo. So let's take a look upward. Beautiful area up here. So it keeps on going up. And I believe this ends in the summit of La Madre Mountain, but we don't know. We'll see when we get up higher. Okay, so that's pretty much where we are. I don't dare do a 360-degree view here and try to turn all the way around. You saw what happened last time I tried that. This is even more precarious. So anyway, let's continue on up this wash and just see if we reach the summit of La Madre Mountain. Well, I've just ascended this, what you see in the foreground here. And now I'm at a point where I can see all the mountains. We're looking at La Madre Mountain there. And I think the way to ascend that would be to go to this saddle right here, then circle around the back side of the saddle and head on up to the summit. So that's La Madre Mountain. And then you can see the notch between La Madre and El Padre Mountains. There's El Padre Mountain. Here is Burnt Peak. And here's El Bastardo. I don't know if I'm going to do all those. We'll have to see what things look like when I get to the top of La Madre. I may actually just head down this ridge, which is a much better route, and find the trail and then the road and head back. But we'll see. I don't know yet. It's been a bit of a brutal, uphill, rocky, slippery, loose stone wash. I don't think I'd do this route again. It doesn't seem like the most rapid route. But that is certainly inviting to summit La Madre, head down this ridge to the notch, and then up to El Padre and over to Burnt Peak and El Bastardo. But I think I might have eaten up a little too much time and energy coming up this. So, yeah, we'll just see. Anyway, yeah, you can see the Mount Charleston wilderness there. Angel Peak. And then on over to the area of Bonanza Peak off to the right and just over this ridge in the foreground. So here we are at this point. Let's head on over to this saddle up ahead and just see if we can cross over and behind and then summit La Madre Mountain that way. I almost believe that I've been on this route before, but I don't know. I came by such a different direction. It's hard to tell. But we're moving along, onward and upward. Madre Mountain. And here is the slope I just ascended. Looking from this direction, it's really hard to figure out how I got up here. But it looks like this is a great place. There's a ridge here, as you can see, spine all the way up to La Madre. And it looks like this might be a good place to circle around behind the ridge or maybe up a little further ahead. We want to circle behind because you can see that on the other side of La Madre, on the left side, it's much more gradual. On the right side, it is a cliff. So it's just a matter of seeing where we're going to cross over this ridge. I might go a little further up before I cross around behind the ridge. We'll see. All I know is that, yes, I don't think I could have crossed under this direction because, you know, it's a very steep cliff on that side. So this side is more gradual, coming up to the point where the cliff begins, and then you need to cross over the ridge. So Or unless you really enjoy Class 5 cliff climbing, which I do not. There's the notch between La Madre and El Padre Mountains. It's a good view of it. There's El Padre, and then ridge on the other side over to Burnt Peak, which is right there. And then beyond Burnt Peak, there is El Bastardo. So, I don't know. I may come back this way, or maybe I'll take this ridge here and do El Padre also. I just don't know. We'll know more when I'm sitting on top of La Madre Mountain. Okay. Onward and upward. Continuing up this ridge, but I think I'm going to cross over right here. This is the saddle that we were looking at from below. And it looks like that opens up a much gentler slope than the cliffs on and the ridge on this side. So let's go ahead and take this little saddle and cross over. Yes, it is a little more gentle of a slope on this side of the ridge. There's the center of the ridge. There's the cliff side. Don't want to go on that side. And here is the more gentle side. So onward and upward. Okay, we're inching along the northern cliffs of La Madre Mountain. And this is the gentle slope compared to the other side, which is Class 5 cliff. But you can see this is fairly steep too. And we're going to head up to this point up here, and then hopefully there will be a passageway over to the summit of La Madre Mountain. This is kind of a false summit up ahead. Somehow I ended up straddling this high ridge razor's edge here. Should have stayed a little lower where it's a little more gradual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower myself down this little crack and then continue on the south side of the ridge. And there we're looking at what I believe is the summit of La Madre Mountain. So we're almost there. Here we go. Skirted around this high point, came along that edge down there, and now looks like a much more open stretch to the summit of La Madre Mountain straight ahead. So, continuing on. Oh, by the way, from this perspective, there is the route toward El Padre Mountain. And I think if I can get around the notch down there, and I don't know how deep that little canyon is, right down in the center, and then head up there, could potentially make El Padre Mountain, then skirt along the top ridge over to Burnt Peak. But we don't know. We're going to find out. For now, let's just get to the summit of La Madre. Okay, here we are, La Madre Mountain Summit. And you can see all of Las Vegas opening up beneath us. And you can even see over to Lake Mead. But First, a look at the summit box. There it is, which means that is the summit. And we'll go over there and we'll take a 360-degree view of the whole area around us. Here we are on the summit, La Madre Mountain. Still haven't seen anyone today. So looking around, what do we see? It looks like, well, the most obvious is all of Las Vegas stretching out before us. There is Frenchman Mountain in the center there. And just to the left, or the right of Frenchman Mountain, you can see Lake Mead. And then looking down this way, that mountain below us is Damsel Peak. There it is. And we'll summit that from the south. We've summited from the north before. Not from the south yet. And straight beyond Damsel Peak is the Las Vegas Strip. There's an aerial view. And then let's see what else we can see. We're looking down, well, straight down this way. I think this is called Little Red Rock Canyon because of the red rocks down there. And looking down this way, there's Calico Basin. Craft Mountain. Nice loop around Craft Mountain. You see that on Las Vegas area trails. There's Turtlehead Peak. Looks very small below us. And then we're looking down here into Red Rock Park. Which means that this mountain here is Blue Diamond Mountain. And we'll summit that at some point. And then you can see the Rainbow Mountains a little bit in the haze there. And behind the Rainbow Mountains, there's Potosi Mountain. We've got pages on Las Vegas area trails for all these. There's the notch between La Madre and El Padre, and we have gotten close to ascending from Calico Basin and going up this notch. Not quite there yet, but it looks like, looking down here, that would not be, what's left that we haven't done wouldn't be too very difficult. And then here's El Padre Mountain. And yes, I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and head over to El Padre Mountain. We'll see what time it is. And then panning around here, you can see the Mount Charleston Wilderness. And here it is from Griffith Peak all the way over to Mount Charleston, Charleston Peak, and then Lee Peak, that little pointy peak there, and then over to Mummy Mountain. Doesn't look like a mummy from this direction. The head is the low part, the toe is the high part, which, well, the tummy is the long rounded high part, but just beyond that is the toe. And yeah, you really can't see it because it's right in front of the mummy's tummy. So there is the Charleston Wilderness, larger view. And then looking down this way, here is Angel Peak. And there's a great adventure on taking the mountain bike last year on Lucky Strike Road, which I think is that unpaved road right down in this area down here. And then over to, we can't see, I'm not sure I can point out McFarland Peak. It would be down in this direction to the right of Angel Peak, but I think it's straight behind, which is why you can't see it from here. And then there's the 95 corridor. And then we have the Sheep Range. And then Gas Peak, little pointy peak. And between Gas Peak and the Sheep Range, there's Fossil Ridge. We've got pages for all of those on Las Vegas area trails. And then at the base of Gas Peak, you can see Centennial Hills area. So let's get a better view. Okay. Zooming in here. Centennial Hills area. And then over again to where we started. The Las Vegas Strip, Frenchman Mountain, and Lake Mead behind Frenchman Mountain. So that's pretty much, oh, there's the Muddy Mountains right in the center there. High Point. A little hazy to see much beyond what I've pointed out at this point. But yeah, oh, look at that little chipmunk. We're going right down the cliff. Well, I'm not going to follow that. Okay, so there you have it. .360 view of the Madre Mountain area. From the summit of La Madre Mountain. And one more thing to point out is the place where I started, way down on Kyle Canyon Road. And wow, let's see if I can find it. I can see it with my eyes, but it's harder to see in this screen. Well, yeah, you see a dirt road there. That's Harris Springs Road. And it should be, wait a minute. Yeah. There's Harris Springs Road, that straight line road down there. And at the end of that, there is a parking area right over that ridge. And that's where the beast is. So now backtracking, I'm going to head over to El Padre Mountain and then see if I can find a way down. Maybe go to Burnt Peak and then head down a ridge there. And then I've got to get back to the Silver Bullet bike and ride down Harris Springs Road and get to the car, put the bike on the car, and then make it the rest of the way home. So there's a lot of stuff to do, but we'll get it all done. Okay, heading down La Madre Mountain toward El Padre Mountain. Here we go, and I think what I'm going to do is get to Burnt Peak over here and then head down the Burnt Peak Ridge back to where the road ended, and then head down the road, get my bike, and head back. So maybe we'll get El Padre and Burnt Peak in today. We'll see. Okay, here we go. Right at the notch between La Madre Mountain and El Padre Mountain. That heads up toward La Madre, and this heads up toward El Padre. And you're looking at Damsel Peak, and almost directly behind, a little to the left, is Frenchman Mountain, and then Lake Mead a little to the right of that. And then, of course, there's the Las Vegas Valley, Las Vegas Strip, and there you have it. Let's see if we can get a little more shot of the strip. Yeah, there we go. So there you have Las Vegas Strip, right through the notch between La Madre Mountain and El Padre Mountain, with Damsel Peak at the left end of the strip in the foreground. Okay, heading up El Padre Mountain now. Here we go. Great shot up to the summit of El Padre Mountain. There's a nice gentle incline trail here, which is something I haven't experienced all day. And then you can see El Padre Mountain. And then the thing is to get over to Burnt Peak and then head down the ridge. So there's the ridge going down, and we are parked at the base of that ridge. So yeah, we got a ways to go, and then run down to the bike, take the bike back to the car, and then we are home. There is the Mount Charleston Wilderness with Angel Peak on the right side. And we want to beat the waning sun because we want to be out of this wilderness area by the time that sun goes down. And you can see that it's getting close to the horizon. Okay, so let's continue on up this nice little ridge and hope that the ridge on the other side of El Padre is just as gentle. We'll see. Okay, here we go. And by the way, looking back on La Madre Mountain and down to the notch between La Madre and El Padre. So now we are going up the other side here. Okay, here we go. The summit of El Padre Mountain, and views open up here. They're looking straight down Damsel Peak, Las Vegas Strip, Frenchman Mountain and Lake Mead in the background, and then panning over, there's La Madre Mountain. And we just came down from La Madre Mountain and then hit the notch and headed up toward El Padre Mountain Summit. So, continuing on up, here we go. Mountain is a sheer cliff above Red Rock Park, and here's Red Rock Park and the edge of the cliff, and believe me, sheer cliff. And we're looking down at Craft Mountain, Turtlehead Peak, and over at Damsel Peak. And then you can see the Las Vegas Valley stretching before us or beneath us. And all the way over to Potosi Mountain. And back to La Madre Mountain Summit, straight ahead. Looking around this way, Mount Charleston Wilderness, and we need to make our way to Burnt Peak so we can head down that ridge. So that should be an interesting challenge. And here's the rest of El Padre Mountain. I believe the summit is up there. We'll see if we can get up there and then begin to head down toward Burnt Peak. And then there's El Bastardo. We're not going to make that today. We're racing the light here. Ate up too much time in that wash on the way up. There's the wash down there. Okay, so that's where we are right now. Continuing on. Summit of El Padre Mountain. How I'm going to get down, I do not know, but we're on the summit. And there you can look back toward La Madre Mountain Summit. And you can see the Sheep Range, Gas Peak. Las Vegas Strip, Frenchman Mountain, and Lake Mead. There's the strip. Turtlehead Peak. Straight down into Red Rock Park. And believe me, it's straight down. There's White Rock Mountain. Very dim in the waning sun. The Rainbow Mountains all the way over to Potosi Mountain. And then here's the stretch that I need to head down. So we'll see how that goes. And there is one of my goals there, which is you get to Burnt Peak and then head down that ridge while we're still looking at light. And then down the road to the bike and then to the car. Okay, and there's the Mount Charleston wilderness. Everything's becoming a silhouette now in the waning sun. So there you have it. Sheep range right over the edge of La Madre Mountain. There it is. Gas Peak. So there you have it, summit of El Padre Mountain. And now making a beeline back home. Here we go. Okay, now you can see we are racing the sun. And I need to get on top of that ridge of Burnt Peak and head down the ridge. So want to do that in the light, get to the road in the light. So we need to cross over here and we'll see what happens. And now you can see the 360-degree view. There's the sheep range behind La Madre Mountain. Here's El Padre Mountain. Now let's turn here. We're not on a very secure spot. Okay. And there you have it. So that ridge that goes down Burnt Peak, that's our goal. Here we go. Okay, there is the ridge for Burnt Peak. I just need to get to that ridge and then head down. So continuing on, and all I need to do is get up that ridge, but there is a little barrier wall before the ridge. So we'll have to see how to navigate that.